I went through those feelings too. And as Laura stood up here and she read all the things that people go through, I've been through every one of those. And I thought, why? For days. And then it finally came to me. It's a psychological thing that someone needs to know why. But when you get the answer, it's irrelevant. Because it has nothing to do with the situation and by no means justifies the act. Whether it was what happened to me, whether you're a victim of a rape, a murder, the Boston Marathon, or whatever else happens. I started to think, well, you know, what is a victim? When we think of victims, we all think of large events. 9/11, Boston Marathon, and things that are publicized in the media and made big things in the media. A lot of crimes don't make the paper. They don't make page 2 of the Democrat in the B section. They just never hit it. Those people are also victims. I'm a firm believer that after enforcing the law for 24 years, I don't care if someone gets into your car and takes a nickel, you're a victim. And the person who did that should know right or wrong. The emotions that I went through and the way I got through it was I realized I can't justify why someone did something, and I never will. And no matter what the reason is that anyone gives me, it's not going to make me feel better. Because no one has the right to take someone's life, property, or liberty, or their freedom from them, ever, for any reason. That's the basic tenet of our society. We all know the rules, they're in black and white. I carry around books like this, full of laws, and they're simple. Speed limit says 55, I go 55. Do not steal, do not murder, do not rape, do not commit violent acts. We know it. So as I think about these things and I try to analyze them, and you really can't, but then I shift gears and I say, not why, but how do we stop it? How do we stop people from committing an act as simple as stealing something from someone's car to going to the Boston Marathon and thinking they could create havoc? You know, I'm 48 years old, so I have a simple story. As a child, me and my brother went down to my neighbor's house. We didn't really like his parents, so we took some stones from our driveway. We went down to her house, we threw them in their swimming pool. Through the neighborhood network, my mom found out. So the neighbor kid we were with, we started at his house, and we got disciplined by his parents. Then I went home, I got disciplined by my parents. Then this lady who no one could stand, my mother said, you were going to walk down to her house and apologize. I was mortified. My mother dragged me and my brother kicking and screaming down the street. But when we got there, we apologized. And what I learned from that was I'll never do that again. So part of being a victim, obviously, is getting through our own victims. But as victims, I think we also need to pursue ways as to why people do it. And I think it's as simple as we need to teach future generations that feeling. If you do something wrong, there's a consequence. I think in the last few years, whether through the justice system and even parenting, we have a tendency to slack off a little bit and say, that's not so bad. Look at the things that are happening in the world. If we get back to the basics, and kids at a young age feared doing something wrong, feared their parents, feared their teachers, and feared the police, and feared authority, that maybe we can start making some changes where people won't get these crazy ideas where they think that some of these things that they do is somehow going to solve something in their mind. So I say, you know, as people, I have children of my own. I'm here with my wife and my granddaughter. My job as a parent, and all of our jobs as parents and grandparents, to teach younger generations, this is how things need to be. We need to go back to the 70s and 80s. You know, my child did something probably because it was his fault. It wasn't someone else's fault. I can't blame it on somebody else, and I can't expect someone else to take care of that incident for something that someone did. We have to take responsibilities for our actions and for the actions of the people that we supervise. So I would just like to tell everyone, thank you for coming. I feel for all of you. You know, there's not a day that goes by, and I'm sure many of you out there that are the victims of crimes. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about that day. There probably never will be. And it will never make sense to me. Ever. And it'll never make sense to you folks either. So what you have to do is you have to shift your energy and shift your focus to something a little positive to try to get something positive to come out of this. Because in every negative, there's always a positive. Thank you, folks.
Thank you, John.